watching the Citizens Report. My name is William Donahue. For today's show, I have a Trump section, a U.S. politics section, a health section, and an Israel section, and a section about illegals. I also have a special guest today. His name is Frank. I'm watching him for the week, so I thought it'd be cool to bring him on the show. Please like and share this video, subscribe to my channel, and get this information out there. First article today, Canada links citizens' bank accounts to a social credit score. Justin Trudeau is one of Klaus Schwab's Young Global Leaders. He went to Young Global Leaders School. He has praised Xi Jinping and said that he likes, or he admires, China's basic dictatorship. So now he is showing that in his policies. He basically, China already has a social credit score system in place based on your consumption, how much gas you use, how far you travel, how much you eat, what you post online, if it's with the government narrative or not, makes up your social credit score, and then that is reflected on your banking, whether you get loans, whether your card works at the gas pump, to tell you if you can or can't travel because of your carbon footprint and things of that nature. So Canada is implementing a system. I'm sure it's not that drastic, but China's system is. So that's something to pay attention to. It's right next door to us that they're doing this in Canada. So it's just not something that we in the United States want or should have. And it's definitely a developing thing. So it's something to pay attention to. Also, you're seeing 15-minute cities, different things of that nature. Now, the United States does have something like this, but it's only applied to corporations in the form of ESG scores based on climate compliance, and also there's like certain goals that businesses have to meet that is almost like a social credit score, but the everyday citizen doesn't have it in place. Now in Canada, the citizens do, so that would be the United States' next step towards tyranny in that regard, is to take it from the corporations and apply it to the people. So for our Trump section, Donald Trump is being charged in New York City and in another case of overvaluing his property, Mar-a-Lago. So in the New York City case, they have a very high bond. It's like ridiculously high, $464 million bond. So in order to pay this bond, they're saying that they're going to confiscate Donald Trump's properties. So I watched a CNN interview yesterday with a financial expert. This headline pretty much says it all. Real estate expert names properties Trump could offload fast, and he won't like it. So this is a different article, but what I saw on CNN was a financial expert saying that Mar-a-Lago is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and it would be a good thing for the government to confiscate it to pay Donald Trump's fine. So they want to confiscate his property and say that it's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. But also in Florida, they're saying that he overvalued the property and that it's only worth $18 million, and that he needs to be charged for overvaluing it. So if they turn around and sell it for hundreds of millions of dollars to pay his one fine, I'm pretty sure that other case should be dismissed immediately. And basically, this whole thing, you could tell that it's just an attack by how when everything meets in the middle, the contradictions are ridiculous. You can tell that this is just an attack. It's not because of Donald Trump's, criminal business nature and the fact that he needs to, or that he steals from people or whatever they're trying to say. He didn't. He didn't screw over the bank. He paid back his loans. Everything that he did was up to par. And when you see contradictions like this, it just highlights the fact that this is nothing but an attack. So they're trying to confiscate his properties to pay for the bond. He is trying to work out his own deal with Truth Social and some kind of merger that would boost the value of the stocks of Truth Social, which would allow banks to want to finance him and his bond. So basically, I guess if he doesn't get the money by Monday, then they're gonna try and confiscate his properties. This next section is U.S. politics. The first article I have here is Lindsey Graham telling Ukraine to draft younger soldiers. Ukraine has a conscription army. Their conscription age, I believe, is from 27 to 40. They're running out of people, so Lindsey Graham urges them to draft younger soldiers, not to work out a peace agreement and save the potential future of the country and to continue the Ukrainian bloodline and culture through the people that live there. He just wants to send younger kids into the meat grinder, and it hasn't worked yet. So that's Lindsey Graham. This is Lloyd Austin, the U.S. DoD Secretary of Defense. Lloyd Austin says that the U.S. will not back down for its support of Ukraine. So Ukraine is a big topic as far as the theme of today's show goes. There's a lot of things that tie back. Ukraine, we're seeing secret bases in Ukraine be exposed by the mainstream media. So they're coming out with the fact that they had secret bases over there. They did influence the election in 2014 to get Ukraine away from Russian leaders and have Western leaders play into their politics. So the CIA and different agencies worked in Ukraine a lot. And here, let me skip to this one. And this article, I think, ties into that. This is the Joe Biden impeachment probe. They're trying to decide whether there's charges to go after Joe Biden for impeachment. So Joe Biden, his son, worked in Ukraine for energy companies, and the CIA and the DOJ, the FBI, Hunter Biden's laptop, the whole thing, I think, is going to eventually come out and be exposed that there was a lot of what Hunter Biden did was trying to westernize the Ukraine energy market, trying to make Ukraine buy Western energy. And I also think that we're going to see the CIA, the DOJ be exposed for influencing that election in Ukraine, for covering up the things having to do with Hunter Biden and his criminal activities, the classified documents that Biden had. The whole thing ties into this. So this article said impeachment probe dramatically pivots to questions of CIA and DOJ cover up in Hunter Biden case. So I feel like they're going about this wrong. You can't have an impeachment hearing on the president, but then also put his son like on trial in the media, in the light, put his son on like public court of appeals or public court of opinion, like what people average people think. You can't talk about Hunter, talk about Joe, try and expose the CIA all in one thing. I think there's enough whistleblowers in the case that you can make sense of it, but they're trying to separate all these things out. They're trying to say that, oh, they couldn't get Joe, oh, they couldn't get Hunter, oh, now they're going after the CIA, they're all over the place, so they don't know what they're talking about. And I think that they just tried to cover too broad of a scope for this, and it's going to eventually hurt the impeachment process. I think that there was probably a smarter way, if you wanted to go about it, to get it done without creating this environment of like mystery. You know, if you just say, hey, Joe Biden had these documents, he sold influence, he committed a crime, and he shouldn't be in power, that would be more digestible for people. And it would also produce the same thing. Then you go after Hunter, then you go after the CIA, all separately. We have like a huge network of people in our government that could handle this. There's no need to put it all into one package and try and deliver it, because people aren't ready. I think things have to come out officially to be known, and this whole narrative that's building is fairly new. So to try and just sell it all at once, I don't think that's a good strategy. Marjorie Taylor Greene leads revolt against agreement to avert shutdown. So the government every year is like on the verge of shutting down, and they need more funding or they need whatever. That whole process, I guess, it's like a game. That whole game that they play is happening again. We put Speaker Mike Johnson in to be an advocate of the people's voice. Now he does middle of the night bill signings, 1,000-page bills that you don't even have time to read, and then you got to go on the floor and vote on it. So Marjorie Taylor Greene is bringing up her grievances about that process. It is a justifiable reason. They want to say that she leads a revolt against the agreement. She is being our advocate, so lead away, Marjorie. It's not a revolt to point out a perfectly logical grievance. This is also part of that Hunter Biden, Joe Biden impeachment probe. Tony Bobulinski was on the stand. AOC asked him what charges he was bringing forward. She then just talked over him the entire time that he was trying to talk. He said RICO, like, what's the crime? He said RICO, blah 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 blah. He started corruption statutes, FARA, RICO. He started naming off these things. AOC cut him off and said that RICO is not a crime. Name the specific crime. She went after him. So if you read the RICO criminal statute, the actual language in the bill says that the government needs to find the crime to, under the RICO statutes, and it has to meet 5 categories of racketeering, this, that, organized crime. It has to meet those requirements, and the government is the one who comes up with that. So she attacked him and said, "Rico is not a crime, tell me the crime." He said, "You want me to tell you the exact statute?" I'm sure that you could come up with the exact statute, but based on the language in the law itself, it's not Tony Babalinski's job to tell her the crime. It's the government's job to decide whether RICO charges apply. And Tony Babalinski is a whistleblower coming forward, and our government is denying a whistleblower the process that he needs for his story to be corroborated, to be truthful. So why would AOC go after him? Don't you think that you would talk to him nicely and try and get the information, prove him wrong in court, and let that be your big win, instead of trying to have a big win by getting a social media video posted or whatever she was trying to do by flipping out on him? Completely backfired. She looked like an idiot. And the whole world knows it. So then I have a section about illegals. There has been the squatters taking over people's houses, I guess is the best way to say it. People's houses are being taken by illegals who come here and squat in people's properties. Now, I don't know who has like hunting properties or vacation properties or rental properties, but I would be cautious when you go in there, because there is potential that someone might be living there. Or if you have an apartment home or something that you are renting but it's not currently occupied, I would have precaution when entering, because there was an article in here about squatters here. Squatters beat woman to death and stuff her in a bag in New York City apartment. Allegedly. But that's what happened. It's just not, there was no ruling, about it yet, so they have to say allegedly. But they're probably going to be charged with chopping the woman up and putting her into a bag because she came to her own house or her own apartment. They thought that was not right and that she deserved to be chopped up and put into a bag. So that is what I'm talking about. Be careful if you have unoccupied properties that you plan on going to visit, because things like this have happened. Previously deported Ecuadorian who strangled newborn to death caught in New York. So they got this guy apprehended. U.S. court blocks strict new immigration law in Texas. In Texas, they wanted to pull people over, for regular traffic violations, and then check if they're a citizen, and if not, charge them with trespassing. Now the federal government is trying to block that. So the federal government is working against blocking these types of events. The U.S. government wants to allow them here. If you pull someone over and you say that they're not a citizen, and then you charge them with trespassing, and then ICE gets involved and they have to deal with that in a way that is recognizing them as an illegal immigrant. But if they come here and they're allowed to claim asylum status, then they're a migrant according to UN terms. They're a migrant. That's why the media is using that word. And then they can stay here. So that's really what's on the table with this. It's not about whether they're allowed to get pulled over or not. It's about whether they're a migrant or an illegal alien. And I think that people view them as illegal aliens but the government wants them to be called that term, migrant, so that they fall under UN treaties and certain FEMA things that would allow them to get aid and to proceed with life in the United States and to take people's houses and to carry out these things. That's the only path forward if we allow them here, is for them to have to either get citizenship, get jobs, whatever, be provided for, and we, at the same time that we're like welcoming, being friendly, trying to be the virtuous ones in the world, or trying to be the moral authority, our veterans are homeless on the street and we're not doing anything about it. So you could fight for the country and you can risk your life for the country, but you don't get anything. Then somebody who's not a citizen gets more than you for doing absolutely nothing for this country but walking over the border. We don't have a border anymore, so just walking over that imaginary line down there, you get more for walking across the border than you do for getting your leg blown off in the Middle East. So that's how our government handles the U.S. citizens. The next section I have is health. Health section. Basically, I'm just going to blow through these headlines pretty quick. These headlines aren't all health related, but it's just like world news, and it's mostly health themed. Engineered famine. Oregon shuts down small farms to protect the people. This goes along with that social credit score article that I read. They're going to do things like this and say that for climate reasons you can't farm. And what I have to say about this, the natural order of the planet that we live on is an exchange of gases between plants and animals that's called terraforming. It creates atmosphere, and it is a healthy process for the planet. If there's too much carbon in the air, then put plants that will take the carbon dioxide and turn it into oxygen. Makes sense to me, but apparently plants are bad for the planet and they're causing climate change. I wanted to say something else about that. I'll think of it. With restrictions on freedom and moral duty, Ethics Council calls for climate policy avant-garde. So this Ethics Council is calling for restrictions on freedom, saying that it's their moral duty. So you see things like this from the people at the top who are in charge, and then you see something like this getting handed down from on high or whatever. They think they're on high, and then they're shutting down people's farming. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. So that is interfering with the natural order of things, right? The natural order of things is an exchange of gases. The amount of toxins that come out of one volcano are great. Extremely toxic gases come out of volcanoes, so much that it's, I don't know, like a statistic to say, like oh, it's more than New York City ever produced or something like that, but the amount of toxins that come out of a volcano alone are ridiculously high. So you don't ever hear about climate people saying anything about that. But your plastic cup or your, I don't like plastic cups, but your plastic cup or your small farm in your backyard, that is going to ruin the planet. But an entire volcano blasting tons of toxins into the earth. I think that happens naturally, and it's happened forever, and it creates conditions in the environment that create atmosphere when a volcano blows off, or when plants, that is the natural order of things. And I just wanted to say the volcano thing because whoever wants to could look it up, how much toxins come out of a volcano, and then look up how much toxins come out of a major city. And I doubt that those cities are comparable to one volcanic explosion. And then put it into perspective with your small farm or this or that. How much are we really influencing the climate? They could tell you that, they could sell you that, but are you gonna buy it? I'm not telling you one way or the other. I have my opinion, obviously. But you could look it up for yourself, and just that simple formula, I think you could come to a conclusion that would make you think otherwise, other than what the official narrative is. So, Ireland's Prime Minister unexpectedly resigned. That's not health news, but I don't know why. He said that he foresees problems in the future, and he thinks someone else would be better at handling them, which doesn't make sense to me, because when something's happening in my life, I want to be the one to handle it because I know what I need to get done. So he stepped down. That doesn't make sense, his explanation. Secret documents reveal Trudeau's government virologist had a clandestine relationship with Chinese agents. This biolab worker or whatever, she got access to Ebola and Henifa viruses and transported them to Wuhan, China, where she gave it to the CCP, or the People's Republic of China, or whatever. She gave it to the Chinese government, these viruses. Then she came back, and they said that she wasn't supposed to do that, or whatever. They fired her. And then she moved back to China. They allowed her to move back to China. So now she will not be facing charges for transporting bioweapons to foreign countries or whatever. And she is probably being greatly rewarded for her loyalties and for her gift to China. So automakers are recording your driving habits and feeding that data to insurance companies. Again, totalitarian or whatever. Who agreed to that? Who said that automakers could put something in a car that would record your driving and then send it to insurance companies? What do you think, Frank? Is that a good thing? Scientists identify 1,600 plastic chemicals used in products like water bottles, teething toys, and blood bags, and at least 4,200 deemed highly hazardous to the human body. So 16,000, that study that I reported on a couple weeks ago was short. I think that they found like 3,000 more types of plastics in the water. So that situation is just getting worse and worse and worse. Also, I've heard of arsenic contaminations in water in certain places. I don't have an article. I didn't read about it. But that might be something to look into. The medical assistance in dying that Canada was doing, I talked about. Now, Ireland is trying to make it legal. Assisted dying should be made legal in certain restricted circumstances. I can't read the word. It's basically Orachatas committee has recommended something. something Irish, some Irish city. But they're trying to allow medical assistance in dying the same way that Canada is. Stunning admission, widely used HPV vaccine linked to 4 autoimmune disorders. So that HPV vaccine, I'm pretty sure that I took it when I was younger. It was recommended to me. I didn't know any better. I took that vaccine, and it's likely to be linked to 4 autoimmune disorders. This here is kind of relative to that. Expected windfall from wave of cancer patients. Pfizer leases huge property in San Diego for research and development of cancer drugs. Now they're saying that mRNA technology is going to be used for the cancer drugs. So this vaccine that has been established and is a traditional style vaccine from before they changed the definition is now linked to 4 autoimmune disorders. Now this new technology is just going to be put into people, and Pfizer is expecting a huge wave, so they're ready to capitalize on this wave of unhealthiness. I wonder, Pfizer created the COVID vaccine, and now they're expecting this huge wave of cancer, and then they're going to make a cancer drug to cure the cancer, and I think it can, in Florida's Florida's Surgeon General, their whole thing is going to the FDA to try and have all the COVID shots pulled off the shelf. So they're trying to have all the COVID shots pulled off the shelf because they say that it damages your DNA and causes cancer. Now we're seeing Pfizer, the people who made that shot, prepping for a wave of cancer. They're looking to make money on that. So you tell me whether that is tied to each other. I think you can make the conclusion that makes sense. Be a good business model. Not the moral thing to do, but definitely would probably make you some money. This is an Israel section. Israel accuses Biden of trying to topple Netanyahu after U.S. President said Israel Prime Minister needs to come to Jesus. So, apparently Biden said that the leader of Israel needs to come to Jesus. Israel accuses Biden of trying to topple Netanyahu. Chuck Schumer went after him, and we're seeing that. We're also seeing Russia and China vetoed U.S. resolution calling for immediate ceasefire in Gaza. So the U.S. initially funded the Israel attack campaign or ground offensive or whatever. We set them up with the Iron Dome. The Iron Dome was created so that you never had to invade Gaza. You could just, rest assured that you were safe in Israel. Now they're abandoning the purpose. We set up their Iron Dome system, and they are now not even using it because they're going into Gaza. So the U.S. initially started off funding it. Then we started giving aid to Gaza. Now we're calling for a ceasefire at the UN. At the UN Security Council, we pushed forward a resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire. We sent everyone, the United States, we sent everyone a draft resolution. All the other countries got it. They came together to agree on it. And when the final one came out, the language was changed. And and both China and Russia thought that the U.S. was trying to be sneaky, so they vetoed it, and the war in Gaza continues. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please like, subscribe, share these videos, and tell people about this show. Also, check out, I have an X account, and I have a TikTok channel that I'm working on, so check those out and follow those pages if you want to. And that's all that I have for you. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you have a good rest of your day and a good weekend.
Thank you for watching The Citizens Report with William Donahue. On this show, we search for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the world around us through the lens of an American citizen.